everyone, I'm Heather Vaughn with the Property Group 850, and today we are here with Mary Dark to talk about the SHIP program.
Yay!
So, Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself and what is SHIP?
Okay, so at University Lending Group, we have partnered with OKALOOSA County, and there is up to $65,000, up to the key word, for down payment assistance on homes in OKALOOSA County. It's tied to some income limits, but the way that we simplify this is if you're ready to buy a house and you just don't know what you want, what you need, is get in touch with us. We're going to do a pre-qualification and look at a plethora of down payment assistance programs for closing costs, principal reductions, repairs. And if you're within the income limit for SHIP, it's a really good place to start because in a nutshell, it can help you come to the closing without money, cover closing costs, reduce what your payment would be. And what I have found for the loans that I've closed is that most of my buyers would not have been able to buy a house without this program.
Yeah. And that's what we see a lot. We're in a market where buyers have more ability to negotiate and really get what they want in a home, but homes are more expensive than they used to be. And rates are higher than they used to be. And so it is more expensive to buy a home now. So when we have programs for first-time home buyers like the SHIP program, where there are funds available and they can get help with their closing costs and down payment and potential rate buy downs to help buy down that rate, to help lower the payment, that is like such a huge thing. So I know just from my experience that the SHIP program, it's one of the things that you have to have is patience.
Yes.
So it's not as easy as call Mary and you're approved and we go. So talk to us a little bit about the timeline on things.
Okay, so I would like to see everybody start looking for what loan programs work for you a good 6 weeks before you're going to go look at your first house.
Okay.
And that gives me time to see what you look like on paper, find out your needs and wants for payments, down payments, no down payments, and then I'm going to get almost a blood sample from you, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And we'll make it easy for you. So we're going to collect a lot of documentation. We're going to have you take a home buyer's class, and then your package actually goes to the county. This is the extra step where they do a very thorough review of your deposits because they're looking for the income limit. Which bracket do you fall on? Are you going to get 15,000? Are you going to get 30? Are you going to get the 65? And the state of Florida, this is their initiative, so the county has strict guidelines to follow, and it's going to take the county 2 to 3 weeks to do that part. And we want to know what your number is before you go look for a house. Yeah. Because then you're going to find the perfect house and the perfect payment.
Yes.
So it's not going to be come in and we'll close you in 2 or 3 weeks, which we all can. It's going to be, let's get your pre-approval done. It may take us a month, and then we'll press go.
Okay. And I think that's really important to remember is that there is timing on this, but you want to do the prep work ahead of time so that we always say you want to be pre-approved before you find your perfect home. In this case, like Mary said, 4 to 6 weeks is even more important on the front end because we don't want to be writing an offer hoping that we're getting up to $65,000, and so many things will depend on that number. So really important to do that on the front end. And the payback, how is it? Talk to us about those positive things.
And this is why we're willing, and you should be willing to go through the process pending you qualify for it. It's because after 5 years, half of that balance of the down payment assistance that you've gotten is forgivable. And then every year after year 5, 1/10 of the balance is forgiven. So if you stay in that home, keep it as your primary residence, you've got a sure shot of some of that money being forgiven.
That's
which
amazing.
Is awesome and worth the wait.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Do you have any stories that you can tell us, like recent buyers that, praise stories of how?
Yeah, so I would say, most of these purchases have been in the 300 and under range, but most of mine have fit into the conventional loan program.
Okay.
Where if you don't have a 20% down payment, you're paying $80, $90 a month in mortgage insurance, okay? Private mortgage insurance, PMI. But these people have been able to qualify and get the $65,000 to where the 20% was their down payment, and they did not have that payment. So not only was their payment reduced with a principal reduction, but also by not carrying
That's
mortgage
awesome.
insurance. Yeah.
That's really awesome. Now, the guidelines are they county by county, or is it
Yes,
state?
it is. Mhm.
So Okaloosa County is going to have its own like income guidelines, family size guidelines, all that. And those are questions that you would want to speak directly with Mary about. It may change, maybe not, but that's another reason why it's so important to do it on the front end, because it's very specific, and they're going to be looking at every single deposit that comes in, and to make sure that you fall within those, because this isn't a program for everybody, but it is an amazing program for those that qualify. So I currently have a handful of listings that are for sale, and one of them would fall within this range of a great home for a qualified buyer to use these funds for.
Sure.
And so that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring Mary in, because I have a great home. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home right in Central Crestview that was just built about 5 years ago. Incredible home to move into, but it might be just out of reach for a buyer that maybe needs a little bit of assistance with their down payment or their closing costs. And so if you could move into a home with this program, really it would be a life-changing moment for you. Okay, so talk to us. Does it, as a seller, if I'm selling my home and I have got an offer with someone that's wanting to use a SHIP program, does that affect me at all?
Really, no, because we've done the front end homework. And so, once we set our contract date, your lender's going to work on gathering everything for them, getting the repairs. There are some little things like the SHIP program requires, if your home is built before 78, like a lead test, a lead paint test. They look at the home inspections, where as lenders we normally don't. So that could be something that would affect, but all of ours we've navigated it through. Maybe something had to be fixed that we weren't anticipating, but hey, we're getting to closing.
Okay. Do you see any buyers using this on new construction?
Yes. I actually had one, and she bought her first home. She was under contract for something that was actually not new construction, and it ended up at the last minute kind of falling apart because the tax bill was hidden. Once it came back, law enforcement, maybe the sellers the taxes had not been homesteaded and been invested for a long time, and so it kicked her payment over what she wanted it to be. Well, she turned around really quickly and found a new construction CJL home and was in it, and her payment was great. Used this program, $65,000, 0 at closing, and a really good monthly payment.
That's awesome. So when we say up to $65,000 on the grant program, and you've had buyers that have gotten the full 65, it's not, the money's not going into the buyer's bank account. It is being used at closing.
Yes. It has to be used as a down payment or for closing cost, or they can do some repairs if the total repair goes over $5,000.
Okay. All right. So that's great to know. So you're not getting $65,000 in your bank account, but you are getting it towards your purchase. And I know I've talked to a couple of agents that have also had their buyer, it's helped buy down their interest rate for the buyer, which has also lowered that monthly payment, which is great. So we've talked about the first step. Can you go more into a little bit about the qualifications?
Yes. So we're going to look at your pay stubs, child support. Something we do differently here is we look at your Cash App, Venmo. What else is there? Zelle, which we all use multiple times a day sometimes. So if you have incoming deposits, what they're looking for is there somebody else in your household that makes money? Because the state really wants the county to be specific for, low, not necessarily lower income, but the income, that's the name they call it, but the income that qualifies for this program.
Gotcha.
So we really look hard at deposits you have incoming, child support. We have you take a quick online class, and we look at tax returns. We're looking to make sure you're a first-time home buyer. So just a lot more detail, which is why it takes a little bit longer.
And then in your world, when you refer to a first-time home buyer, explain what that means.
It means that you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years.
Okay, so sometimes that's deceiving to people.
It
so
is.
I wanted to make sure we talk about that. So being a first-time home buyer does not mean you have never owned a home, but in the mortgage world, you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. So important to know if you're kind of in a transitional period in your life that you could still qualify for a first-time home buyer program.
And something good to know about that is if you're not a first-time home buyer, don't write, this program you're going to write off. But we have other programs where you don't have to be a first-time home buyer that still will allow for down payment assistance.
Okay.
And we're going to look at everything. We're going to look as FHA best, VA, rural housing, conventional, and which DPA, that's the name for down payment assistance that we're going to use for you.
Okay, awesome. Now the pool of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that, because some programs that we know about, they have a limited pool of funds for the entire state, and once it's gone until it's reapproved by the Florida government.
Right.
So talk to us about SHIP. What is that? Is there a limit that they have available?
They do. So it was $6 million. I need to check and see how much is left. But the nice part is this lasts longer because it's only based on the second mortgage.
Okay.
Where like your hometown heroes and your Florida housing down payments are based on the bigger first mortgage amount. So this should last longer. But when it runs out, it does run out. So
yeah.
let's check you out now.
Yeah. And is it a January to January thing, or?
Well, right now it's not. I would have to double check with the county on where they're at and what they're running.
Okay.
But because it came back new last summer,
right,
the funds are pretty plentiful right now.
And Mary has been, how long have you been in the
26 years.
26 years. That's wild. I've been selling real estate for about 13 years, so about half that time. And so I have not actually had a buyer that's been able to use SHIP in probably about 6 years. Pre-COVID
Mm-hmm.
is really the last time we were in a position market-wise that we weren't so in a frenzy.
Yeah.
Like COVID kind of put everybody in a little bit of a frenzy. Prices went crazy. And buyers, first-time home buyers and buyers that needed down payment assistance were kind of pushed out of the market, not by the programs, but just by the frenzy in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're back in a more balanced market where there is more available and more programs available, it's definitely the time now to start talking to a lender,
Mm-hmm.
see where you stand and where and how we can get you in your next home.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've gotten our last one that I closed, went under contract mid-December, and we had holidays in there.
Oh, yeah?
We closed that one mid-January.
Oh, wow. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because you did all the work on the front end.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
So important to do that all on the front end. So if I would love to connect anyone with Mary that is considering buying a home, and even if the SHIP program isn't the right program for you, I'm sure she has something ready that we can look at to see if it'll work out.
All right. Good deal.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to?
The American dream, home ownership, that's what it is. And, rates are good, rates are strong, down payment assistance is available. There's a plethora of things out there. So, the strongest bet in the economy is always on housing. So call us so we can help you out with that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary, so much.
Thank you.
See, that wasn't bad.
No.